So, you're ready to import a rooftop tent, which is awesome. But let's be real, there's a big hurdle. These things are huge, they're heavy, and they're usually made halfway across the world. Figuring out how to get one from that factory floor to your front door can feel like a massive, overwhelming puzzle. But the good news? It's totally doable. And in this explainer, we're going to break down exactly how you can pull it off. Okay, let's just dive right in. It all starts here, on the factory floor. Your tents are all packed up, boxed, and ready for their big trip. This is literally the starting line for a pretty epic journey that's going to cross oceans and borders. That gap between the factory and your home can feel, well, enormous. You're probably thinking, okay, who's responsible for what? What the heck do all these acronyms even mean? And how do I not mess this up and lose a ton of money? Don't worry, we are about to give you the map for the entire process.
All right, first things first, you are not doing this alone. International shipping is 100% a team sport, and it's so important to understand who the players are and, what they actually do.
Okay, so if there's one player you really need to know, it's your freight forwarder. Now, these guys don't own the ships or the planes, but they coordinate absolutely everything. The best way to think of them is like a travel agent, but for your stuff. They find the best routes, they deal with all the annoying paperwork, and they basically make sure everything keeps moving smoothly.
So, just to recap, here's your team. You've got the shipper, that's your supplier. The consignee, hey, that's you. The shipping companies, those are the folks with the boats and planes, the actual movers. And then you have the freight forwarders, the coordinators, the ones tying it all together for you.
Okay, so you've got your players. Now we need to make sure everyone's reading from the same playbook. To avoid any confusion about who's responsible for what, and more importantly, who pays for what, the whole industry uses these standardized rules called Incoterms.
Think of Incoterms as the official rulebook for your shipment. They spell out very clearly the exact moment in the journey when all the responsibility and all the costs transfer from the seller over to you. And trust me, getting this part right is everything.
And this chart right here, this is basically your treasure map for the whole process. See on the left, that's the supplier's warehouse. All the way on the right, that's you. Those lines at the bottom show exactly how far the seller's responsibility goes under different rules like EXW, FOB, and CIF. This diagram is your key to understanding the whole flow.
So let's zoom in on the two big ones you're going to see all the time, FOB and CIF. With FOB, which means free on board, your supplier's job is done once they get the tents to the port in their country. From that moment on, you and your freight forwarder are in charge, which means you have way more control over the final cost. Now with CIF, cost, insurance, and freight, the supplier handles the big ocean journey all the way to a port in your country. It might seem simpler for a beginner, but you give up a lot of control.
All right, you know the who and you know the what. Now it's time to figure out the how. How are your tents actually going to make the trip across the globe?
You've really got three main options here, and this table lays it all out. Air freight, super fast but crazy expensive. It's really just for getting a sample like yesterday. Rail is a pretty solid middle ground, especially if you're shipping to Europe. But for something big and heavy like a rooftop tent, sea freight is almost always the winner. It's slow, yeah, but the cost savings are just massive.
Yeah, let's just hammer this point home. For a product as big as a rooftop tent, sea freight isn't just an option. It's pretty much the only practical choice if you're buying more than one. The cost per unit just makes sense.
Now, even within sea freight, you've got a choice to make. If you're ordering a bunch of tents, enough to fill a whole container, you'll book what's called a full container load, or FCL. But if you're just starting out with a smaller order, you'll use LCL, less than container load. It's kind of like carpooling for your cargo. You share the space and the cost with other people. Okay, now this is a huge one, so listen up. Timing is everything. Shipping prices are not set in stone. In fact, during the busy times of year, the demand for space on these ships just skyrockets and the price can easily double or even more. Planning your shipment to avoid these peaks will save you a fortune.
And these are the times you've got to watch out for. There are four main danger zones. You've got the pre-holiday rush in the fall when all the big stores are stocking up. Then the last-minute Christmas chaos. Then the mad dash before Chinese New Year when factories rush to get everything out. And finally, the traffic jam right after they reopen. Your best bet? Ship outside these windows for better prices and fewer headaches.
Okay, deep breath. Your container has made it across the ocean. It's sitting at a port in your country. You're on the home stretch. But there is one final super important step before you can actually get your hands on your tents. You got to clear customs.
Now, customs can sound super intimidating, right? But remember, you've got a guide. Your freight forwarder is your expert here. They will make sure all the essential paperwork is perfect. Your commercial invoice, your packing list, your bill of lading. And they'll tell you exactly what import duties and taxes you need to pay to get your goods released.
And that's it. That's the entire playbook, from the factory floor across the massive ocean and right through customs. By understanding your team, the language they speak, your shipping options, and that final customs step, you've turned what seemed like this huge, scary challenge into a simple step-by-step process.
So now that you have the keys to the kingdom, the only question left is, what amazing adventure are you going to import first?